So Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. It's an incredibly personal story, right? It really all starts with one of the most heartbreaking images of a generation, two young princes walking behind their mother's coffin. Today, we're going to dive into the key moments of that story based on a really comprehensive summary of the book. Here's how we're going to break it down. We'll journey through 5 main stages of his life: his whole identity as the heir and the spare, his search for a real purpose in the military, the new connection that honestly changed everything, the unraveling of his relationship with the institution, and then finally, his fight to become captain of his own soul.
All right, so to really get this story, you've got to start right where he did, with an identity that was basically assigned to him at birth, one that existed only in relation to his older brother.
And this one quote, wow, it really sets the stage for absolutely everything that follows. The heir and the spare. I mean, that wasn't just some nickname, it was a definition. It framed his entire life inside the royal family. You can see it right here. These were basically the two paths laid out for them. William's life, a clear, defined duty, a straight line to the throne. But Harry's, as the book puts it, was to be the backup, the insurance policy. And this huge difference created two totally different realities, and it often pushed Harry into the role of the rebel. But that whole predefined role, it was completely shattered by a single foundational trauma. His mother's death wasn't just a tragic event. It was the moment his world and how he even saw his family just flipped from joy to sorrow. And the aftermath? Well, it was just one challenge stacked on top of another. He was shoved into the global spotlight to mourn, sent back to a life that just felt empty. And then he had to deal with his father's relationship with Camilla. All while the press was really starting to dig in on this narrative of Harry as the rebellious, naughty one. So you can imagine how this early trauma just completely shaped his young adulthood. This was a time where he was actively trying to build his own identity, to find some purpose beyond just being the spare. Now, his path from there was anything but straightforward. At Eton, he felt totally overwhelmed, isolated. But then, at the Sandhurst Military Academy, he found that structure he was craving. That led to 2 tours in Afghanistan, where, for the first time, he really had a clear, meaningful role. And that experience, it directly led to his most famous project, the Invictus Games, a totally new way to serve. And his military service came with some incredibly harsh realities. The book recounts this number, 25. That's the number of confirmed kills from his time as an Apache pilot. And he doesn't describe it with any pride, but as a difficult and morally challenging necessity of war. But, the battle doesn't just end when you come home. After his service, he started having these severe panic attacks and anxiety. He saw in his own struggles the same invisible wounds of post-traumatic stress that so many veterans carry. Okay, so it's right around this point, while he's grappling with all this stuff from his past and trying to figure out his future, that his story takes a massive turn. I mean, this is the arrival of Meghan Markle. And the way the book lays it out, their relationship was a totally modern romance. It all started when Harry saw a video of Meghan on a friend's Instagram. That led to texting late into the night, then some very private first dates, and then, the big one, a trip to Botswana. Away from everyone, that's where their connection really solidified. And his reaction to seeing her, it was just immediate and powerful. In his own words, it wasn't just a crush. The book makes it clear this felt like a life-altering moment for him. But, of course, what happens when a private love story like that becomes a massive public reality? Well, it collided, head-on, with the institution he was born into. And this is where the story really shifts into a period of intense unraveling. So, has all this pressure and conflict just kept building and building? You have to ask, what was the actual breaking point? Was it just one single thing? Or was it the slow buildup of all these unbearable pressures? And the pressure really did come from all sides. You had these relentless and often racist attacks in the press against Meghan. There was a toxic rivalry between the offices of Team Cambridge and Team Sussex, tense confrontations with William and Kate, and underneath it all, just this constant feeling that they had no support from the family. And all of this tension, it all led to what the book presents as the ultimate breaking point. During a heated argument about Meghan, Harry alleges that William physically attacked him, knocked him right to the floor. According to the book, that was the moment their brotherly bond was just fractured for good. So, after all that turmoil, we get to the final act of the memoir. This is where they decide to step back from royal life and just forge a completely new path for themselves. And the change wasn't small, it was absolutely fundamental. I mean, they went from being senior royals with palace-funded security to being financially independent. Their focus went from duty to the crown to global causes, and they swapped constant media scrutiny for a much more controlled engagement. And the whole story really finds its resolution in this one incredibly powerful line from Meghan's journal, which she wrote after their daughter was born. It just perfectly closes the loop on that identity that had haunted him his entire life. He wasn't just the spare anymore.
So in the end, Harry's story, at least as he tells it, is this journey from a role he was given to one he chose for himself. And it leaves all of us with a pretty big, thought-provoking question. Can a life of service, a life of duty and meaning, actually exist outside of the powerful institutions that have always defined them?